You are listening to Arcane Carolinas, an exploration of the Carolinas' folklore, legends, myths, and modern weird. Each episode, we examine the historical context of our topic and aim to preserve some of the stories that help make this part of the world such a fascinating place.
Hello and welcome back to Arcane Carolinas. Michael and I have been talking extensively for the last 26 minutes before pressing the record button.
We were catching up.
You want to talk about a cryptid?
Let's talk about a cryptid. I'm done being on my soapbox about things that I cannot control.
May or may not be a cryptid, and that's something that I want to explore at the end. This is a topic that we have talked about before. I think it was like 2 years ago at Con Carolinas. A very low energy morning for me.
And this was a great topic, so I'm really happy to be revisiting it because this is a story I think people will really enjoy.
And it is a quick one. That particular talk was actually two different possible cryptids. We're going to talk about one of them today. But before we do that, I'm your co-host, Charlie Mushaw.
I am your other co-host, multi-award-winning novelist and single award-winning podcaster, Michael G. Williams.
And it bears mentioning that Volume 2 of the Arcane Carolina book series is now available on Amazon, written by Michael, forward by me. A few doodles in there as well for Gary, because Gary said he liked the doodles.
I'd say that they're beyond doodles. I think they're art.
My dudes.
At the HWANC reading that I did in Durham in August, there were people there who got to see and, in fact, take copies of Volume 2 because I had 5 copies that I printed the wrong size. So I was just giving them away. And there were people there who, like, the second they opened it, were really excited to see that there was artwork in it.
Oh, there you go. Well, thank you, Michael.
You are quite welcome.
Now, what I do consider art, there's a new figure series called Critters and Cryptids available on our web store at arcanecarolinas.com. The first of which is Nobby the Sasquatch. It's a little figurine of Nobby because Nobby is, I don't want to speak for you, but you told me this. Nobby is sort of your favorite cryptid in that collection.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Of those, I'm always going to be a little bit torn between Nobby and the Vampire Beast of Bladenborough. It's like my favorite cryptid of the Carolinas. But I love Nobby. I love that story so much. I love everything about it.
And speaking of Nobby, he is the star of the only video game set in Kesar, North Carolina that I'm aware of.
If we get an email from somebody telling us that there is more than one, I will be so happy.
That would be pretty amazing.
It would.
I wrote a Atari 2600 game in which you are Nobby running through the forest, collecting French toast sticks, and attempting to elude a Sasquatch hunter. And there are physical copies that will play on your Atari 2600 or 7800 on the web store. There's a limited number of them that come with a Mega Nobby, which is just a giant blue glow-in-the-dark version. Well, it glows blue. It looks white of the little Nobby figures.
That's so amazing. That's just incredible.
I mentioned the web store. We also have a print-on-demand shop where you can get lots of items. You can get t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, coffee mugs, coffee travel cups, whiskey glasses. I think there's a candle because I thought that was funny.
What does the Arcane Carolinas candle smell like?
I don't even know because I don't have it. You know what? That is an excellent question, and I should probably order one so that I know.
If it's possible to have it scented, we should come up with something really strange. But at any rate,
I just had a thought that I'm not going to go there. We could have it smell like Nobby. Okay, there I went there.
I don't think skunk is a very popular smell.
Our spooky season kickoff will be at Arcana in Durham on September 26th. As of right now, tickets are officially sold out. Tickets are free. It's really just to make sure that we don't go over the fire code. So here's the deal. If you got a free ticket, we're really excited. If you know you're not going to make it, don't hold on to that ticket. Please cancel it because there are people that want them. If you do want to go and you were unable to get a ticket before they sold out, please send us an email to arcanecarolinas@gmail.com and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, we'll have kind of a standby list and we'll let you know if we're able to make that happen.
And it's free, to be clear. The only reason we're doing tickets is to make sure that we stay safe.
Yeah, we just don't want to overcrowd the room. And there were people last year who couldn't really see. And we just want to make sure that everybody has a good experience.
So, you know where else they should have a good experience? The Southern Gothic Festival, put on by the Kershaw County Library in South Carolina, where I'll be October 18th.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about that.
I just did.
Okay. And tentatively, I am scheduled to be at the South Carolina State Library in Columbia, South Carolina on the evening of Thursday, December 12th.
That is going to be so much fun. I had such a wonderful time doing that last year when I got to go. You're going to have a really good time. You should check out the Caroliniana Museum right down the street. You can see where the three-eyed man jumped in a manhole. It's all happening. It's all right there, Michael.
Nice. I'm tentatively planning to be talking about ghost story traditions at the holidays.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about something that I first heard about in one of David Weatherly's books. And I've mentioned him on more than one cryptid episode because as far as authors go, David has a real knack for rooting out oddball creature features.
Okay.
Lesser known, smaller stories that are citable. He cites sources, which is something that I really appreciate about him.
Okay, yeah. See, being somebody who is, like, as we speak, going through a massive pile of Carolina's ghost storybooks that I checked out from the North Carolina State Library, they don't all contain citations. So citations are nice.
But do you know what's very well cited?
What is that?
The monkey dog.
Is it a monkey that looks like a dog or a dog that looks like a monkey?
Monkey dog. It's Schrodinger's monkey dog.
Okay. All right.
So this story comes from the town of Lumberton, a place that we have discussed before.
Okay. Is that Robeson County?
Yes.
Okay.
So quick recap. Pre-colonial Robeson County, home to a wide mix of Algonquin, Iroquoian, and Siouan language families, including the Hatteras, the Tuscarora, and the Cheraw. Lumberton itself was established on a body of water called the Lumbee, or sometimes the Lumber River. That was 1787, and I will give you one guess as to what it was a shipping point for.
Furs. I know. Lumber.
Yes, lumber, Michael. Lumberton on the Lumber River.
No.
And yes, that is the same Lumbee as the Native American tribe, which per their website was formed by members of the tribal nations mentioned previously. We've talked about them quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
So it's all kind of coming together. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to revisit this story, because it has so much connective tissue to other things that we've talked about.
It really kind of feels like Robeson County is one of those locuses of the weird in the Carolinas, because there are so many weird stories that happen there.
In the words of Ivan Sanderson, it would be a vile vortices.
I like that phrasing. That appeals to my preference for purple prose.
He was very, very good at that.
Excellent.
As was the style at the time.
Yeah.
So since this is a creature feature episode, I did want to take a minute to talk about some very real things that are confirmed to exist. Not that the monkey dog wasn't real. The monkey dog was real. We'll get to that. But no known unique wildlife in and around the area, including the native Semotilus lumbee, which is a species of fish also known as the sandhills chub. And the chub is not the only unique organism found in the Lumbee River.
Do tell.
There's the giant yucca skipper, which is a rare butterfly.
Oh.
And the red cockaded woodpecker.
Okay.
Another rare species local to the river, but I digress.
All right.
So you can check out the Lumber River State Park website for more info, because we are not going to talk about any of those unique species in any more depth, because today is about the monkey dog. Journey with me through the sands of time to December 15th, 1954.
Okay.
I decided that's recent enough that I could look up the weather. So I did. It was a breezy, clear day with a low of 39 and a high of 51. It's the kind of December day that has you immediately accepting it's not going to snow on Christmas.
Yeah.
And the setting was Panthersford Elementary School. That school does not exist anymore if you go looking for it. It's since been demolished. It was a segregated school that was decommissioned after integration. I can only hope that their mascot was a panther.
I mean, fingers crossed.
And
per page 4 of the December 17th, 1954 edition of the Robesonian, we've been corrected on that several times.
Yeah, my understanding at this point is that it is the Robesonian.
So their newspaper,
yes,
had a lot to unpack for this sighting.
Mm-hmm.
There was a chapel service at the school around 3 p.m. when student Beulah May Sanders yelled out, "Look, a monkey!" 25 children immediately ran out of the building, pursued by their teacher, Christine McMillan, who was trying to get them to come back to the chapel service.
I mean, I don't blame them.
It just strikes me like I'm just picturing like Peanuts, like all these little,
yeah,
like, look at that, Charlie Brown.
Oh,
so the teacher described to the paper that the creature was 3 feet high with reddish brown fur, a long tail, and that it looked like a cross between a big monkey and a dog.
Okay, give me those physical dimensions one more time because I want to try to make sure that I have an accurate mental picture.
3 feet high.
Okay.
Reddish brown fur.
Mm-hmm.
A long tail, and it looked like a cross between a big monkey and a dog.
Okay. All right.
She also described its movement. She said that it loped like an ape and distinctly did not run like a dog.
Interesting. Okay.
It was at this time that the hero of the story emerges. The janitor, a man named Clifton Williams, grabbed an axe and placed himself between the children and the creature.
How far away was this creature?
Close. We'll get to that.
Okay.
The reason that he reacted so quickly and put himself in such a place of danger was that there was a big scare going on. 5 hogs on a nearby farm had been, quote, ripped apart earlier in the same week.
So keep going, but we're going to come back to that.
And initial reports, the police and official reports all said, oh, it was a wild dog. And they put a wild dog down, allegedly, in the wake of that to kind of say like, oh, it's over. But it was still very front of mind because it was literally the same week.
Yeah.
So here's where it gets scary. The creature wasn't afraid of the children. And this is according to the eyewitness accounts. It seemed to be sizing them up. It would retreat when Mr. Williams got too close, but it wouldn't run away. And he was close enough to swing the axe at it.
Yeah. That's not very far at all.
No. Like it was trying to come get a kid.
Okay. Yeah. Keep going. I have something that we need to make sure that we talk about after this. Keep going.
So the janitor chased it off, essentially.
Yeah, I'm getting the janitor from Abbott Elementary vibes here. A total, complete and utter badass with an axe.
I was going more groundskeeper Willie, but okay.
I mean, so same kind of deal,
Get behind me, children. Grease me up, woman.
I feel like Mr. Johnson from Abbott Elementary has probably wielded an axe to defend a child.
So the monkey dog runs off, and the principal, where was he at? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, come on.
His name was H.E. Williams, according to the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
And the staff looked at the tracks and didn't know what to make of it because they were decidedly not dog tracks, and the children insisted on calling it a monkey.
Are there any photos or anything of what these tracks looked like? Any description? Because that just kills me to hear they were distinctly not dog tracks.
There's not. And I think, so this was reported 2 days later, right? So it made the paper 2 days later. This was during segregation. This was a rural, probably underfunded school. It was more of a curiosity tale than a genuine scientific interest.
Sure. Yeah.
And no further sightings were reported.
Interesting.
No further cattle deaths. The Beast of Bladenboro gets mentioned in the article, and the author makes it a point to say that those occurrences were nocturnal, and this seemed to be something completely different and should not be lumped in with the same legend.
Okay, but I feel like it is that's the thing that I wanted to make sure we talked about, because this is happening 20 minutes from Bladenboro.
Right.
And it's a year, almost to the day, after the first round of Vampire Beast attacks happened. Sure, they all happen at night, admittedly. But if you remember correctly, at the very end of the Beast of Bladenboro episode and in the Beast of Bladenboro chapter, I noted that a year later, another round of animal deaths occurred in the community. And nobody was exactly sure whether that was the vampire beast returning or something else. And so even if it's something else, even if it's totally unrelated, even if the point about it not happening at night is 100% proof, quote unquote, that it's two different things, then that's even weirder that this community would have a lot of stuff like this happening at the same time, very similar in nature. It's very strange to me.
Yeah, like I said, this one has connective tissue to a lot of things that we've talked about culturally and from the cryptid perspective. And I just found it really interesting. The newspaper was so insistent. This is not that. Like, they didn't want the fear, the commotion to kick back up.
Mm-hmm. There's so much about the stories that are similar, even down to we've killed an animal and that means it's over.
And to be honest, I suspect that's probably why there weren't pictures in the paper. In addition to the factors that I said before, like it was more of a curiosity than a real scientific investigation. They just didn't want the hype.
Yeah.
So it's a really weird one. My initial thought is escaped circus baboon.
Sure. Yeah.
You know,
that's a handy explanation.
Size and color match. They have long tails. They lope. But from a let's have fun with it perspective, the lumber industry was still going strong. There's still various industries in the area. What if this is a weird cryptidy creature pushed out of its habitat by industry? Mm-hmm. Into the edges of society?
Everybody who lives in a neighborhood that has, to its surprise, kind of been overtaken by deer and coyotes in the last 20 years is experiencing exactly that, an animal population being pushed out of its native habitat by overdevelopment. And so there's no reason why that wouldn't apply to cryptids also.
When we moved into this house, the person we bought it from gave us a warning. Yeah, there's bobcats in the woods.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. Where I was before had coyotes, here has bobcats. Mm-hmm. So I did want to ask a question of you, and this is something that we have discussed prior, like I said. I'd like your take on what makes a genuine cryptid versus just local legends. So like snipe hunts and wang doodles and wolf and annies are just oral traditions, more so than widely accepted cryptids. So what for you elevates a story to the level of potential cryptid?
So I think my answer to that, I'm not sure that I would defend this answer in court, but my off the cuff answer comes at it from a couple of different angles. One of them is, does the story end with, and people say you can still see it today? If so, that's probably just a legend, quote unquote, just a legend. That's probably folklore. That's something that people do not literally believe, but it has, for important reasons, it become a part of the identity of the place. You know, a thing that we've talked about before, I don't remember if we've ever talked about it on the show or not, but is that idea that these are stories that start out as this happened to someone, and then eventually they turn into this story is part of the definition of the place where we are. Mm-hmm. And thus it becomes a part of the identity of that community to be in the place where that story is celebrated and passed down. It becomes part of the cultural DNA of a place to tell that story. And, you know, so something like the Santer or the Mappas cat, those things may be things that people do not literally believe, but they've become an important part of the story of that place and thus of the identity of the people of that place. Whereas a cryptid, I'm going to say, requires somebody who did or did not know the story, preferably did not, saying, I saw something weird. I saw something in the road when I was driving through, a la the flying reptiles in South Carolina, the thunderbirds. Or, you know, I saw something on my trail cam. I saw something on my Ring doorbell. I saw something with my eyes. Much like the UFO phenomenon, there are people out there who do not believe in UFOs, but who report seeing strange things. And I feel like for it to be a cryptid, somebody has to be able to say, like, I saw it myself. This isn't a story that I heard. This isn't something that Uncle Bob used to tell after Thanksgiving dinner. This is a thing that I saw that I feel like I experienced something real and inexplicable. And also with a cryptid, I feel like there has to be, it can't be devoid of a spiritual or psychic element. I think that a lot of the weirder experiences people have with cryptids and the idea that Bigfoot is some sort of interdimensional traveler or whatever, I think that's great too. I think those stories are awesome. But I feel like if somebody has an otherwise purely mundane experience of just seeing a thing cross the path, something walking past the school and coming after a kid and the janitor has to get an axe and defend them, that stops being a story story that Uncle Bob told at Thanksgiving.
I agree with almost everything you said. I will deviate. So I will say that for me, most of that is true with the exception of the more, for the sake of brevity, to say the metaphysical elements of certain pieces of lore. For me, that exists in a separate space. For me, the idea of a cryptid has to be tied back to base zoology, right? Like there has to be a conventional explanation within the way we understand the animal kingdom now. But everything else, man, like I am right there with you. You know this. I have been very, very fortunate this year to have gotten to travel a bit around the country and talk to different people in different states about their local cryptid lore. And in pretty much every case, there was consistency in this is real. I don't know what it is. And I saw it.
Maybe that's the thing that I didn't know exactly how to phrase. Maybe the distinction between folklore and a cryptid is that folklore also supplies an explanation.
Oh, I like that.
Because if you think about the Jersey Devil, there's a whole legend as to why that is happening. With the Wampus Cat, the people who say that the Wampus Cat is the cat of the Cora Tree Witch. Yeah. The people who draw that, they're supplying an explanation. Maybe that's the distinction. If it's a legend, it comes with an explanation. If it is a cryptid, nobody knows why. They just know that they've seen it.
And I think that's why I love sea monsters so much. Because people consistently see things that they're like, "Yar, I don't know what it be." There I was. A whirling and a twirling through the sea foam it were.
Right.
They be airing out they tentacles.
Indeed. You know, sometimes you just gotta.
Kraken. The Kraken. But yeah.
Cracking something.
All right, we'll be here all night. Be sure to tip your waitress. Check out the 9 o'clock show. That's all I had for this episode, man. I wanted to make sure we revisited that one. And I do also want to revisit the Catawba River Runner this fall as well, because I think that's a fun one.
Yeah. And, you know, this falls neatly into the category of some other episodes we've done this year of, we talked about this at a convention. That recording didn't really work out for the show. So let's make sure we talk about it on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.
And if people who hear this have an opinion on the distinction between a myth or folklore and a cryptid, I would be fascinated to hear what people think, because other people have also thought about this a lot. And, you know, you just got our email address, arcanecarolinas@gmail.com. Send us what you think. I'm just curious to hear.
Oh, yeah, and it's spooky season. So if you want a sticker, we'll mail them to you for free. Just tell us where to send them.
Oh, yeah, totally. Email us for stickers any old time. Happy to do that.
Play us off, Michael.
Thanks for listening. And I will now play us off.
You've been listening to Arcane Carolinas. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. For more episodes, behind-the-scenes information, and links to our social media, check out www.arcanecarolinas.com, where you can also buy the Arcane Carolinas book.
And if you like award-winning horror and science fiction, check out my books at michaelgwilliamsbooks.com. And if you have story suggestions, comments, or questions, email us at arcanecarolinas@gmail.com. And thanks for listening.
So since this is a feature creature, got that backwards.